pleased with their first 180 minutes of the season, but they're trying to respond after a home loss to Colgate on Sunday. Meanwhile, St. Joe's out of the A-10, they would love nothing more than to give the Cavaliers another early season scare here from Klockner Stadium. As we say hello from Charlottesville, we thank you so much for joining us on your Thursday afternoon. I'm Corey Spector. UVA comes in with a record of 1-1, and St. Joe's dropped its opening game against Merrimack 1 week ago. Well, for the Cavaliers, they started off the season well, 3-0 victory right here at Klockner against the Rider Broncs, a very decisive victory for George Gelnevach and company. And then going back 4 days ago on Sunday, UVA had possession of the ball for over 70% of the game against the Colgate Raiders out of the Patriot League. UVA generating chance after chance. The problem, though, the Cavaliers couldn't put the ball into the back of the net, and instead Colgate did once. Jack Bierling scoring in the 37th minute. And the Raiders defense, their back line, it was stingy. And although UVA had 28 shots in that match, the Cavaliers suffered their first loss here in 2024. They were number 13 in the polls, and now they have dropped out of the top 25 after the first week of games. On the opposite side, for the St. Joe's Hawks, a program that has not found a lot of success recently. The Hawks picked 11th in the preseason poll out of the Atlantic 10 last year with just 4 wins. They have a lot of newcomers on this team, so they're still trying to get together and figure out what everybody's strengths are. They started off in the opener against Merrimack in Philadelphia, a game in which they led 1-0 in the second half. Bart Koistra scoring a goal off a corner kick in the 69th minute, but then Merrimack came back to score 2 goals in quick succession, and that's why the Hawks are still winless here in 2024. St. Joe's in the crimson and the gray, the bumblebee uniforms, if you will. And UVA, after coming out in its orange kits for the first time in about 7 years on Sunday, they have ditched those for now, and they're back in their home whites. J.C. Rivero is our referee today, and he signals us to start as St. Joe's looks to score on the goal to our right. Austin Rome with a header, and that one goes off the arm of Truls Van Brong for St. Joe's, and a free kick now for UVA. You're going to notice a lot of international players for St. Joe's. The Hawks in their last game, the opener against Merrimack, 16 out of the 17 players who played in that game not from the United States. The only player that is a domestic player, Kobe Perlaza, who's from Houston. And he came off the bench in that one. So the Cavaliers, as we touched on, 28 shots, but nothing in the back of the net against Colgate. Those 28 shots represent the most for the Cavaliers in a single match in 11 years. UVA had 37 shots in another game that they did not win, a 1-1 tie against Virginia Tech back in 2013 in Blacksburg. Just as we have seen in the first couple of matches for UVA, we do expect the Cavaliers to be on the ball for a majority of the match. St. Joe's in its first match was in a 4-back formation, a 4-2-3-1, but head coach Don Diambra has changed the formation significantly today. You'll see them defending in what looks like a back 5. They'll call it a 3-5-2 with the 3 center backs, Jokol Sveinsson, Glenn Lala, who makes his collegiate debut today, and Jan Galinsky. Lala wearing 15 in the crimson and gray. He was not eligible for game 1, but he did gain eligibility for this one. Hayes Wood makes his first start in a Cavaliers uniform today, keeps it on the ground on a cross, and now the recycle for Brendan Lamb, who always pushes forward despite being listed as a center back. Reese Miller fakes, gets a step on his defender, deals it back to Austin Rome, and now it's Lamb. He can roam anywhere he wants on the field in that joker position, as the coaching staff calls it. Daniel Mangarov fakes, and he tries to get off a cross. St. Joe's thought it last deflected off of Mangarov, and the Hawks are correct, according to J.C. Rivero. And a goal kick for the Hawks. Daniel Mangarov has been on the ball very often in the first couple of matches. Scored in the 10th minute in the opener against Rider to kickstart the Cavaliers season. Had 4 shots in that match against the Broncs. Another 5 shots against Colgate on Sunday, and a couple of grade A opportunities that he did not finish on. Lars Javi, the starting goalie for St. Joe's, lifts it towards midfield, and Austin Rome heads it away. Same deal for Umberto Pella, one of the 3 captains for the Cavaliers here in 24. Jan Galinski with a solid shield, and that allows St. Joe's to set up for a free kick. Galinski, the graduate student, center back from Warsaw, Poland. Played in 81 minutes in a start against Merrimack. Last season was his first in the United States. Played in 17 games, made 8 starts for St. Joe's. If you go up and down the Hawks roster, you'll notice that they have a lot of players listed as upperclassmen, but a majority of those players are in their first or second years with St. Joe's because they were playing overseas previously. Umberto Pella asking for the ball from the Lipscomb transfer, Nick Deng, and he does receive. Pella brings it down right in front of Galinski, who moves forward from his center back position to apply some pressure. Speaking to Don Diambra, who is now in his 15th season as the St. Joe's head coach, he obviously watched the match that UVA played against Colgate and said, yeah, we're going to defend a lot, but we don't want to defend as much as Colgate did, despite the fact the Raiders won that match. Kome Ubogu not in the starting 11 today for UVA. Instead, it is Hayes Wood. This is crossed in. Header from Reese Miller. That pops just high. And another goal kick for SJU. Reese Miller, now a junior, comes from Houston. Had an assist in the opener. Has started each of the first 3 games and a starter each of his first 3 seasons with the Cavaliers. Played with the Houston Dynamo program out of MLS Next in his upbringing a couple of seasons ago, an all-ACC freshman team selection. Koistra with the header, moves around midfield, and this is picked up by Mangarov, the lefty who starts on the right side in this box midfield for UVA. Cavaliers in a 3-2-4-1 formation for the 3rd consecutive match. Something that George Gelnovac is not necessarily committing to for the entire season, but he definitely wants to use the early portions of the non-conference slate to see how it works with a lot of new personnel here in 2024. Triton Beauvois getting the starting nod today in the midfield as well. And he's on the ball on the far flank. Pella clips it forward. Gashi to Paul Visa off an 8-assist season in 2023. Cavaliers turn it over, but Nick Deng recollects. Lamb monitors the space in front of him. Short pass for Miller. Pella checks towards the ball as well. Be interesting to see how comfortable St. Joe's is while playing in this 3 or 5 back formation that they did not use in their opener against Merrimack. They were alternating different formations in practice this week, gearing up for this match in Charlottesville. One of the Hawks players goes down as St. Joe's begins the counter 2-on-2, and Koistra thought that Joey Batruni may have been out a little bit too far, but the Coastal Carolina transfer was on top of it as J.C. Rivero stops play, and they'll tend to the injured Hawk on the other side of the field. That is Jan Galinski. Well, you certainly don't want to lose anybody, but certainly not a guy that's so integral on defense, one of your center backs. And Sarah Logan, the athletic trainer, is out to tend to Galinski. St. Joe's trying to figure it out in the back. Galinski and Jokel Sveinsson started match 1, but Glenn Lala did not. He didn't even play because he was still waiting for his eligibility. Lala coming over from the 4th division in Italy, where he played the last 6 seasons. And you see the collision right outside the 18-yard box for St. Joe's. Lars Javi having a check-in as well with his center back. All right, good to see Galinski on his feet, although he's not putting any weight on his left leg. Well, any time that these players can get a rest They're certainly going to take it today. 95-degree day here in Charlottesville for a match that was supposed to start at 7 o'clock Eastern time, but we're expecting some thunderstorms perhaps as early as 6 o'clock tonight. So that's why the match was moved up to 3, so we can get in this game and St. Joe's can get back to Philadelphia safely tonight. Joey Petruni will wait for the drop ball from J.C. Rivero. Petruni did not make a save in the game against Colgate, allowed the 1 goal late in the first half. That's a big question mark for Joey Petruni, not involved in the game. How can you stay fresh and locked in for those 2 or 3 shots that may come your way? And he may face a very similar situation today against the St. Joe's program that has only had 2 winning seasons this century, 2001 and then in 2018 they were 8-7-3, but they've had losing seasons ever since. They come out of the A10 where VCU is the favorite with 5 first-place votes. Cross in and an easy catch for Lars Hobby, and he wants to work quickly off the counter. Koistra sprinting forward against Austin Rome, and his clearance try was deflected by Koistra, but Bart surrenders, and Austin Rome with time and space to deliver it forward for Brendan Lamb. Sophomore from Apex, North Carolina in the Raleigh area. Miller sends it inside now for Pella, wants to switch for Paul Visa, the senior from Germany. Visa slanted ball, back post to his fellow outside back. That's Reese Miller, deflects off of Alvin Gashi and cleared away once again by St. Joe's. Koistra, solid job to hold it up, maneuvers his way past Alvin Gashi. And Umberto Pella down the line, keeping his balance there. Tommaso Rosetto, one of the 2 Italians on the roster, crosses in, back post, 1-touch shot, and it's pinged away. Paul Visa in the right spot for the Cavaliers. St. Joe's threatening off the counter early in this one, just 8 minutes in. Reese Miller is wide open on the near side if Mangaroff can get it to him. He couldn't, but instead they try that far side now. Alvin Gashi, the junior from Sweden. Now Triton Beauvois, a lot of speed, a lot of pace. Stays on the ball here. Gashi, Visa, Mangaroff on his strong left foot, fakes the shot, deals it forward for Hayeswood, and now Pella couldn't release it. Referee says play on. A couple of Hawks players went down momentarily. Lamb, short pass, Reese Miller, arcs it to the back post. Beauvois gets a shoulder, maybe a head on it. And now cleaning that up is Sveinson. Umberto Pella, he wants somebody to run off the ball. He fizzes it towards the near side now for Miller. Hayeswood inside the 6. Miller back now for Lamb. Distributes for Pella. 1-touch shot with the outside of the boot. No. Just a bit wide from Umberto Pella. And a goal kick for St. Joe's. Jake McConnery steps on the field now for the Hawks as St. Joe's finally gets back to 11v11. McConnery played the final 9 minutes off the bench against Merrimack last Thursday. He's in his first season with St. Joe's after being a consistent fixture with Eastern Illinois last season, leading the Panthers in minutes with over 1,600. And he's played 90 or more minutes 16 times in his young career. Sophomore from Ontario. They had Sveinson switch from the left center back to the right center back to accommodate McConnery, who's on the left side of the true center back, Glenn Lala. Beauvois sneaks his way past a Hawk. Pass to Beauvois inside the 18, lifts it to the back post. Miller, 1-touch shot, bingo! Triton Beauvois, excellent individual effort. And Reese Miller right on the back post to send it through. 1-0 Cavs. Beauvoir bolting. And nobody covering Miller on the backside, and not much Lars Hobby can do.
Who scored that goal? Number 19, Reese Miller.
Well, they've been using Beauvoir mostly as a center forward to begin this season, now playing a little bit more out wide here in Game 3, and that pays dividends for Coach Gelnevach and company. So Reese Miller with his 3rd career goal, and his first since his freshman season, when he scored 2, had 1 against Pittsburgh in 2022 in the regular season, and then against the Panthers in the ACC quarters. So Miller involved for now his 2nd goal in 2024, had an assist in the opener against the Ryder Bronx. And man, that's got to lift a huge brick off the Cavaliers' shoulders, considering UVA did not get one into the back of the net of Colgate back on Sunday after having 28 shots. And it was interesting speaking with Adam Perrin, the associate head coach for UVA. One of the interesting nuggets that he gave us, they walked into the office Monday morning, and his fellow associate head coach, Matt Chulis, told everybody on staff our expected goals in the game, it was nearly 4.5, and yet they did not score. And Coach Gelnevach apparently said that that's the largest XG that he's had in his UVA coaching career without putting one into the back of the net. Pretty remarkable that Colgate was able to survive all the pressure that the Cavaliers were dumping on him. So now the game changes for St. Joe's. The Hawks certainly have to chase it. A 1-0 result in favor of UVA won't do them any good. And it'll also be interesting to watch if St. Joe's changes its shape now, maybe going back to more of its traditional 4-back as the game continues. Right now they're still in that 3 center back formation. Umberto Pella, who has a really good grasp on this team. Coaching staff says that his thick Italian accent, it certainly stands out when he's in the locker room, very passionate when he has to deliver a speech. Brendan Lamb moving forward. Out wide to the goal scorer, Reese Miller, in the 11th minute. Lamb, textured ball forward. Mangarov waits. He wanted to sneak a pass inside for Hayes Wood, and you saw him throw his head back. He really wanted to find the space. Visa to the back post, Wood, it takes a deflection, and there is the goalie, Lars Hobby. Hayes Wood with 21 career goals, a 3-time ASUN champion with Lipscomb. He spent 5 years with the Bisons. Unfortunately for him, suffered a season-ending ACL injury 25 minutes into last year's opener against FAU, after he was coming off of seasons with 9 goals in 2021 and 8 in 2022. Coaching staff complimentary of Hayes' professionalism in the offseason, not trying to rush back. You know, you're thinking about coming to a new program. You want to showcase that you're a prolific goal scorer. But he made sure that he took the recovery time seriously, didn't get on the field too early. And if anything is bothering him, he's very quick to let the coaching staff know. He doesn't hide any information. Ishu Nishizona, who comes over from Japan. Down the line from Koistra, Nishizona into the box. Truls Brandvang to the back post, and nobody was there. The closest player was Blake Driehaus, their most prolific goal scorer from last season with 8. Driehaus, by the way, was the first St. Joe's forward to earn all-conference recognition since a former Cavalier, Leon Marich, was a first-team All-A-10 selection back in 2018. He scored 12 goals that season after transferring from UVA. First ever meeting, by the way, between St. Joe's and UVA. The Cavaliers have played 8 different A-10 programs. They have 68 wins, just 15 losses, and 6 ties all time against teams currently in the A-10. Pella steps up, but instead Rosetto gets a foot on it. Now the hold up from Koistra, but a turnover, and it's back to the Cavaliers. Pella now to Mangarov. Loops it in with the left foot. Goes off of Hayes Wood. And another goal kick for St. Joe's. 15 minutes into the match here from Charlottesville. Thanks so much for being with us on your Thursday afternoon. If you were initially hoping to watch this match at 7, a little bit of an earlier start due to some weather in the area tonight, so we thank you for popping in early. Cavaliers over the last couple of years, they have suffered early season losses and then responded. You go back to 2022, they lost in the opener against the Xavier Musketeers, very similar to the match we saw the other night against Colgate. They dominated the Musketeers 19-3 in shots, but then responded with a 4-0 win over Rider in Game 2. You go back to last year, UVA started the year with a 1-0 win over Iona, lost in the next game against LMU 3-1, a team that made the Elite Eight last season, but then bounced back with a 1-0 win over George Mason. This is Beauvoir freelancing near the area. Now Driehaus, he gives it up. Visa, Gashi clips it in, couldn't find Reese Miller, and instead Hobby collects. Lars Hobby has been quickly picking up his head whenever he's had the ball early in the match, trying to catch the Cavaliers on the counter. Hobby blasts it towards midfield. The wind dying it down here as Koistra gets a shin on it. Brandvang out wide, and now St. Joe's can push forward its back line. Visa defends and gets a foot on it. Back it goes towards midfield for Mazzotta, the Italian from distance. A laser beam that's just high.
Goal kick, Virginia.
Mazzotta in his first season with St. Joe's played in 81 minutes and started in his collegiate debut against Merrimack after playing the last couple of years in the Italian 3rd Division. St. Joe's, by the way, 29 players on the roster. The Hawks with only 10 players from the United States, and 3 of them are backup goalies, by the way. And the other 19 all international. 4 players from Norway, 3 from Canada, 3 from Italy, a couple of Australians, and 2 players from New Zealand, and then 1 each from Poland, Denmark, the Netherlands, Iceland, and Japan. Get a full variety on this St. Joe's roster in a very international city out of Philly. Hayes Wood with a quick turn, glance towards the net. Mangarov out wide. Visa strikes it high. Paul Visa looking to make it 2 outside backs with goals in this one after the 11th minute tally from Reese Miller. Visa has started all but 3 games in his first 3+ years as a Cavalier. Has led UVA in assists in 2 seasons, including last year with 8. McConnery. And the shame of it for St. Joe's, by the way, you have to remember with the new rule change this season, you only get 6 windows to sub. And you do get one of those windows back if it's an injury that's caused by the opponent and given out a card. So just keep that in mind as you watch matches here in 2024. Lamb pressured in the back. Austin Rome, no nonsense, clears it away. Hayes Wood tries to hold it up, and it goes off the head of Sveinsson, the Icelandic center back. Throw in UVA with Albin Gashi. And with now 19 minutes gone by, JC Rivero wants to stop the clock and make sure that Ishunisha Zono has his shin guard on, as he also has a conversation with Hayes Wood. Nishizono puts his shin guard back inside his sock, and we should be good to go. Indeed we are. Cavaliers with a shiny gem of a match coming up. That's on Monday rivalry match against the Terrapins. What an entertaining game that was a season ago here in Charlottesville after playing several years on neutral sites at Audi Field. Back on campus sites. Reese Miller to the flank, and he crosses in, goes off the head of Wood to the back post now. Visa can get solid contact on it.
Okay, cards.
Here's that Visa shot once again. The outside backs have been very involved in this match so far, as that cross did go off one of the St. Joe's center backs, allowing Visa to have a try at it. Nick Dang brings it down in front of Koistra, and back he goes to Joey Petruni. The senior from San Antonio, starting his 37th match in his collegiate career, and his second year coming over from Coastal Carolina. During his time at Myrtle Beach, he kind of adopted this laid-back mentality, and you know, sometimes he shows up to training, he's loose, he's lax, and the coaching staff wants to get him engaged early. Triton Beauvois lets the ball roll onto his feet. Visa overlapping run, and his cross deflects near the crossbar of Lars Javi. And now Reese Miller hustles to get after it. And a St. Joe's throw. That is Luke Johnson, one of the substitutes for the Hawks, getting in on it. Johnson coming off a preseason injury, didn't play against Merrimack. Visa to Beauvois. Triton now a junior from Boston. Player who really excelled in the preseason. A really speedy recovery coming off the ACL injury last September the 8th against Duke. He was back in about 9 months. Austin Rome venturing forward from his true center back position. Lamb to Rome, and once again it's Lamb. Gashi wants the ball in the center of the park. Lamb holds on to it. Trying to decipher what St. Joe's is trying to do defensively. Miller open inside. A lot of movement off the ball from the Cavaliers, and not staying stationary with their positions that Coach Gelnovich outlined in the pregame. They are moving around a whole bunch. You see Miller now inside. Mangarov on the left. He normally starts on the right. Miller, one touch. Gashi starts to probe. Mangarov analyzes. Gashi waiting. Laying it off now for his good buddy Umberto Pella. Miller with his strong left foot. Visa, his shot is deflected, and here comes Javi to bang it away with 2 fists. Dang falls down, earns the whistle from J.C. Rivero. Foul against Bart Koistra for St. Joe's. And with that, we will head to a hydration break, a much deserved and necessary hydration break, with temperatures in the mid-90s here from Charlottesville. So we will step aside for a moment. night. It's a little steamy up here at Klockner Stadium, but nothing in comparison to what the players are facing down at field level with the sun beaming down on them right now. Bart Koistra was called for a foul about 10 yards outside the 18, and we have a free kick after this hydration break as Albin Gashi stands near the ball, as does Daniel Mangarov. And it is Mangarov to clip it in to the back post, a header, it's in! Nick Dang on the receiving end, his second as a Cavalier. You know, normally they say that comes from the training ground. That came from the hydration break. 2-0 UVA. Dang scored with a header in the 84th minute in his debut against Ryder, and he gets a piece of it there to beat Javi. Beautiful ball in by Daniel Mangarov, and Dang knew it right away. Credit to the Cavaliers coaching staff for drawing that one up. The run off the ball on the free kick. And the Cavaliers certainly feeling good about themselves right now. Again, coming off the 1-0 defeat in a game that they totally dominated against Colgate back on Sunday. So Nick Dang, 3 years with the Bisons, just like his former Lipscomb teammate Hayes Wood, three-time ASUN champion under Charles Morrow, the now 20th year head coach with Lipscomb. Dang was the ASUN Freshman of the Year as a redshirt freshman 2 seasons ago, a first-team all-conference selection last year, and Top Drawer Soccer ranked him as the 18th best player in the country in the preseason. And he's been a fixture on the back line so far for UVA here in 2024. Coach Gelnevach making a couple of changes. Kome Ubogu is in the match for UVA. Ubogu was injured with about 8 minutes to go in the last match on Sunday against the Raiders. He had a collision with his head that forced him out of the match, but passed all the concussion protocol. He's good to go. We also see Ignacio Alem on this near side flank, 20 in white, the sophomore from Potomac, Maryland, who has played 23 minutes off the bench, both career highs in the first 2 games. Had a couple of shots against the Raiders on Sunday. Gashi, Mangarov flicks it inside for Pella. A step over from Umberto to Visa, his pass deflected. Umberto tried to track it down, but he did so with his arm, and so a free kick now for St. Joe's. Had a really interesting conversation with Coach Perrin for UVA, talking about Umberto Pella. He's got to be the player that instills calmness in tight games. He's a really model student athlete here at UVA, 4.0 GPA in high school. He got himself into UVA. And a guy who has taken a nice step this season. Previously a guy that, according to the coaching staff, a little bit too worried about the east-west movement, sometimes with going backwards negatively. He's looking to be the man this season, pushing the ball forward, being more decisive and aggressive in the attack. And UVA is confident that that mentality switch will pay dividends for them down the stretch of this season. Now Umberto is playing as a center back with Lamb moving forward. And Beauvoir earns a corner kick. A lot of speed now in the game with Beauvoir and Ubogu near the top of the formation. Beauvoir, the excellent preseason, 3 games. He drew a PK, drew a red card, also had an assist. Coach Gelnevach describes him as a handful of a forward. And Ubogu is really good off the bench in 15 to 20 minute spurts. Oh, that one hit off the face of one of the St. Joe's players. believe that's Ishu Nishizono who is down on the ground, and Cassidy Tandau, the outside back from Australia, is checking in on him, and Sarah Logan has been busy today, the athletic trainer for St. Joe's. So we stop the clock with just over 19 minutes to go in the first half, and Coach Diambra and company need to find a way to generate something in the attack. And Coach Diambra did not run away from the fact that he believed that his team would be defending for most of this match, as you see him chatting with the fourth official today, Andrew Gentalumu, the fourth official. Nishizono is on his feet, and we'll watch it again, and that cross went straight off his noggin. So Nishizono, you see him holding his right ear, playing in just his second match with St. Joe's. He's been in the United States now for 3 years, the junior from Japan. Started his collegiate career at CCBC Essex in Maryland in 2022, and then last year at Monroe Community College in Rochester, New York. Scored 6 goals in his first 2 years in the U.S. And Nishizono will head down towards the tunnel and get replaced here by Kobe Perlaza, another outside back. Comes over from Houston and played the final 9 minutes against Merrimack in the opener. Guy who started his career at Marshall, part of a national championship winning team in the spring of 2021, and then spent 2 years at Wright State with the Raiders. Made 10 starts his first season, 12 starts last year. A Raiders program with just 8 wins over the last 2 years. Cavaliers hoping for a corner kick. Daniel Mangaroff pleading to the AR on the far side that it's UVA ball, but it is in the possession of St. Joe's. Hawks program that won just 4 games last season and then lost the entirety of their back line, trying to figure it out in front of the net of Lars Havi. Names like David Schwartzman and Mikkel Anderson and Alex Hartman and Filip Vujovic, all not with the program anymore. Trevor Jackson ended last season as the starter in net. Spent 1 year with St. Joe's after a couple of years with Central Arkansas and UAB, and now it's Lars Havi's responsibility in between the pipes. A guy who has started in the past and has started more than enough games to be considered a veteran. 13 starts as a freshman. The number is down after that. 3 starts as a sophomore, 8 last season. He was a bit injured midway through last season, allowing Jackson to get some of those starting nods. But a guy who fits the profile, in the words of Coach Diambra, is one of the top A10 goalies. Alem down the line of Bogu. The defense there from Glenn Lala, the graduate student from Italy, again making his collegiate debut today. They were really hoping to have him cleared with his eligibility tonight, and thankfully for St. Joe's he is, and they expect him to be a big part of this team here in 2024. Pella knocks it forward beautifully onto the foot of Beauvoir, but he did come from an offside position. Cassidy Tandau in relief there.
Substitutions for the Hawks.
And now Coach Diambra will bring on 5 new players. First one being Campbell McIntyre, the graduate student from New Zealand. Oscar Steinecke, 13 in the Crimson and Gray, who started the first match against Merrimack. He's in now as a sub. Daniel Zivkovic, sophomore from Australia, is in, and if you're a St. Joe's fan, you're used to seeing Zivkovic wearing 29. He has changed to number 7 this season. Campbell McIntyre, by the way, wears 28, and He was number 20 last season, so the kit's changing a bit for Coach Diambra's team in 2024. Steinecke tries to track down that long kick from Lars Hobby. Cavaliers move it forward, and now the header from Jake McConnery. Gashi floats it back in the air, brings it down, and he was contacted and fouled. Now it's spiked on the foot, and it's back to UVA. Beauvoir makes another run. Instead, Mangarov holds on to it, now deals it back for his teammate Albin Gashi. Bogu lifts it to Beauvoir. He wants a corner kick. He's not getting it. Goal kick, St. Joe's. Beauvoir, a player that can be very elusive. Coaching staff really loves the fact that you watch him play in a singular match, and if he plays a lot of minutes, he can win his individual duels 5 or 6 times. Joey Petruni taking his time. He's got nowhere to go. Rome to Lamb. Brendan Lamb has not been as involved so far today as we saw in the first couple of games, but he makes a nifty pass here, right onto the foot of Daniel Mangarov. Visa's cross deflects. Javi vacuums it in. Lars Javi, big guy, 6'6", the senior from Norway. Made just 1 save in the opener against Merrimack. Disappointing result for St. Joe's against a Merrimack team that certainly was beatable. With an RPI of 157 last season, they were picked 11th out of 13 in the preseason MAC poll. St. Joe's had the lead in that game on a goal from Bart Koistra on a corner kick from Truls Brandvang in the 69th minute. But then Jonathan Kratz for Merrimack scored 2 goals separated by just over 3 minutes. And Coach Diambra said, look, we had a bad 10-minute spell in the second half, and that's what cost us. Didn't think his team was comfortable in the first half, got going early in the second half, but then the level dipped off. Pella to Gashi, who lets it go for Lamb. Smart play there. Ignacio Alem challenges his defender, that's Tando. And Alem picks it back up. Faked the letting it go out of bounds and then kicked it. And they say it is last touched by a Cavalier. A little tricky move there from Ignacio, playing in just his 8th match of his collegiate career. Sveinson boots it forward, but again, the wind causing problems for St. Joe's. And Beauvoir is holding the back of his right leg. He's readjusting his cleat. Does seem to be okay. Pella asking for the ball. Gets it from Visa. Pella directing traffic. Gashi, one of his fellow captains on the near side flank. Ignacio combining. Couldn't find Albin Gashi. And it's back to the center of the pitch where Austin Rome's got it. A dozen minutes to play here in the opening half. UVA got the first goal from Reese Miller. And then another defender, Nick Dang, off a set piece right after the water hydration break. Rome flags it down. Alem against Tando. Alem falls down. They say goal kick. Solid D from Tando, the sophomore from Australia, graduated from Arundel College in Australia last year, now in his first season in Philly with St. Joe's. Here's the solid work, 1v1 again from Tando, who apparently knocked it off of Ignacio Alem. He was pretty assertive in his plea to the referee, and J.C. Rivero obliged. Down the line it goes. Nice tackle from Austin Rome. Right in front of Patrick Vanny, one of the substitutes, the sophomore from Toronto. Vanny to Zivkovic. Tando in the midfield now for Herman Refsgaard. Played the final 9 minutes against Merrimack in the opener, the sophomore from Norway. And now let's see if St. Joe's can have a spell of possession. Good link-up play from St. Joe's, but Steinecke couldn't track it down. Long it goes now for Kome Obogu. Challenges his defender, and another great defensive play from the Hawks. That was Glenn Lala, and you can start to see his defensive talents in his collegiate debut today. Lala, Svensson. Forward it goes. It bypasses Zivkovic. And the regain here from Nick Dang, one of the goal scorers. Rome calm as you like in the back, despite the pressure from Steinecke. St. Joe's continuing in this 3 center back formation, 5 defenders, with Perlaza on the left and Tando on the right. Rome brings it down, puts it right back in the air for Pella, and now it's Rome again. Gashi down the line, a collision between Alem and Tando, and Alem earns the whistle. Ignacio Alem, product of the DC United Academy, local guy from Potomac. And you see Tando getting a good grasp of his kit. And so a good decision from the referee, J.C. Rivero, who has been busy so far today. Daniel Bava and Paulo Cardea, the 2 ARs, with Andrew Gentalumu as our 4th official. Gashi wanted the ball on the near side flank. Instead, Dang opted to keep it on the far side. Mangarov loops it back post for Alem. And now a foul on Ignacio against Tando. So each player in that individual duel getting a whistle. Cavaliers with an excellent response coming off the 1-0 loss against Colgate. UVA, one of a handful of ACC teams that started the season inside the top 25. Cavaliers number 13 in the preseason poll, to then drop out here in week 1. Notre Dame at number 2 fell out. SMU at number 10, outside the top 25 now. UVA, Wake Forest previously at 15, and Duke at number 20. Enormous amount of space for Triton Beauvois. He can be dangerous on that right flank. Pirouettes off his defender. It's Gashi waiting. Mangarov on his strong left foot. To the near side it goes. Umberto Pella waits and scans and delivers it back. Couldn't find Lamb. Gashi with a solid tackle to gain it back. Lamb swerving. Rome, a soft touch for Lamb, who really had to hustle to keep possession. With Daniel Zivkovic applying the heat. 7 minutes to play in the first 45. Lamb analyzing. Pella. Gashi had a notion. It bypasses Mangarov, and a goal kick for St. Joe's.
Goal kick, Hawks.
These games, at times, they sort of serve as experiments, right? To figure out some of the kinks that you have to solve in the early season. And one of those objectives for UVA early in 2024 is figuring out the required patience in the attacking third. All these new pieces, right, with the departures of Leo Afonso, who is now in the MLS with Inter Miami, and Stephen Honor not here, Mo Tiam, Axel Allender. They are working in a lot of new pieces. Hayes Wood being one of them, who started today's match coming over from Lipscomb. Triton Beauvois coming off the injury from last season. Kome Ubogu only scored 1 goal last year after 4 as a freshman and 6 as a sophomore, so they're trying to get him going a bit. Ignacio Alem didn't play all that much. Cesar Cordova, who started the first 2 matches for UVA as one of the center attacking mids, has not been utilized so far today by Coach Gelnovac, but Cordova, a guy who only played in a handful of games in 2023. UVA team coming off an 11-win season, making the Sweet 16 before losing to Indiana 1-0. Pella flicks it, and this one goes off the arm of one of the Hawks defenders. So this can be a threatening free kick for the Cavaliers right outside the area.
Hawks.
Virginia, the only program in the entire country to earn a top 8 seed in each of the last 2 NCAA tournaments. The only ACC program with 5 conference wins in each of the last 2 years. But all of that, not good enough for Coach Gelnovac. He's made no secret he wants this team to get back to a college cup. Mangarov's free kick, that's repelled by the wall. A chopping shot and a necessary save from Lars Javi.
Cavalier corner kick.
Parries that away for a UVA corner. UVA hasn't made a college cup since 2019, and they've only made one since 2014. There's that free kick once again. 3 Hawks building that wall, and then the secondary shot. Good tracking it from Javi. Beauvoir comes in short. Set piece for the Cavaliers. Mangarov fakes, stays on to the ball. Mangarov fakes again, and he lets the shot go on a curler just high. Daniel Mangarov makes your eyes pop when he is dribbling across the 18-yard box, which we have seen a handful of times in the first 3 matches. Certainly scaring Lars Javi a bit. Virginia with a 10-3 edge in shots. They've had 4 on target. No shots on target so far for St. Joe's. Zivkovic down the line, too far out in front of Vanny, but it did take a deflection. And so St. Joe's recoups. The Hawks only scored 19 goals last season in 17 fixtures. They surrendered 28 goals. And it certainly will be a challenging task to get one by Joey Petruni and this back line for UVA. A Cavaliers program that is set out to allow fewer than 15 goals here in 2024. The calculations that they have made showed that national champions in recent years allow about 14 or 15 goals in a season. And so far UVA has only relinquished 1. That being the outside the box howitzer from Colgate's Jack Bierling in the 37th minute of the last match. 2 minutes to play in the first half. Visa drives it high in the air, chested down. McConnery, who has been busy on the far side. Austin Rome taking no chances, directly to Ubogu, who gets a head on it. This will stay in play as it's back to McConnery. Sophomore from Ontario, played for an Eastern Illinois squad that had just 4 wins last season, just like St. Joe's. Coach Diambra, when we spoke with him the other day, he said, look, it is going to take time to mesh and figure out everybody's personalities and where they should be positioned on the field. But if you just look at the individual talent that is on this roster, he feels really confident about that. And he thinks this team, if they do have a collection of personalities that do get along, and if they figure out where to place everybody properly, that this can be a team that puts up a fight in the A-10. Now, they do have a lot of newcomers on this roster, 13 out of the 29. But there is a little bit of a foundation with a St. Joe's team that, yeah, they only won 4 games last season, but they did have a 1-0 win over Dayton, and the Flyers won the A10 last year. How about this twister match in the corner? Tando called for the foul as Ignacio Alem was roped to the turf. That looked like you were playing a tug of war with your brother in the basement. J.C. Rivero does stop the clock to ensure that the Cavaliers have enough time to get this set piece going. Here it is from Pella, looping it to the back post. Austin Rome was looming. Corner kick UVA, the Cavaliers with their third. They've got to hurry. 20 seconds remaining in the first half, already leading by 2. Towards the penalty dot, a header from Dang. St. Joe's clears it out for the moment. 5 seconds remaining in the half. Inside the box. Nice tackle there from Steinecke. And that prevents a third for UVA. Cavaliers, though, do dominate in shots and possession once again. And they have 2 goals from defenders. One from Reese Miller and the other from Nick Dang off a set piece. And it's 2-0 UVA in match 3 of 2024. Halftime here from Klockner Stadium. Both teams will get a breather for about 15 minutes or so, and then we will be back with the second half from Charlottesville. UVA 2, St. Joe's 0 right here on ACC. Now, with 3 center backs and 5 total defenders, it'll be interesting to watch in this second half how quickly St. Joe's starts to push numbers forward. At the end of the day, a 2-0 loss looks exactly the same as a 5-0 loss. And the Hawks certainly need to be aggressive in these next 45 minutes to make this a game. All you got to do is get one by the net of Joey Batruni. And hey, we have ourselves a very dicey situation here in Charlottesville. First ever meeting between the Hawks and the Cavaliers. And it comes on a Thursday afternoon at Klockner Stadium. Perhaps you're just joining us and you may have just learned that this match started a little bit earlier than anticipated. Initially a 7 o'clock start, but with the threat of thunderstorms later tonight here in Charlottesville, the 2 programs agreed to move it up to 3 o'clock, and that's why we are playing under the bright sunshine over the mountain with temperatures in the mid-90s. Daniel Mangaroff kicks us in play, and we're off and running here in the second half. As we had in the first half, the hydration break will be in effect in the second half once we reach the midway point. Visa wearing the captain's armband, just like Albangashi and Umberto Pella. Visa now with his 55th career start, playing in his 58th collegiate game. Coach Gelnevach very excited to have him back on the squad this season. He said normally you have a Cavalier who starts his first 3 seasons. He's playing professionally by now. But Visa opting to stay here with UVA, comes over from Germany. And he's had a very successful Cavaliers career, 8 assists a season ago. Nick Dang swings it back to Joey Batruni as he organizes this formation for the Cavaliers. 3 center backs, but Brendan Lamb already in midfield, no surprise, playing that joker position. Keep an eye on how aggressively these forwards for St. Joe's press the back line of UVA here in the second half, trying to get their team back in the match. David Okori is in the game for the first time for UVA, 23 in white on the near side, right behind Joaquin Brizuela. Number 11 in white. Brizuela, the freshman from Argentina, who's making his collegiate debut. Coaching staff has had positive things to say about Brizuela's preseason. And for some of the coaches, they say that Joaquin reminds them of Leo Afonso, a bit of a bigger version of Leo. Brizuela with great size at 6'2", and so he gets the opportunity here with the Cavaliers maintaining a 2-0 lead. Ignacio Alem remains in the match on the far side flank, as Reese Miller, one of the goal scorers, sits on the bench. Okori makes the run in behind. Pella keeps it, pokes it to the middle. Miscommunication with Mangarov, and now St. Joe's with Bart Koistra. He twirls off a defender, but too heavy of a touch, and cleaning that one up, Umberto Pella. He is just a nuisance in the midfield, and then he's so crafty on the ball. Coaching staff was also saying entering this game that it had the feeling of a get-right game before the massive match in College Park on Monday against the Maryland Terrapins. You know, you want to find your rhythm, you want to get some goals into the back of the net, feel good about yourselves. And so far, that's been the story for UVA. They've been on the ball pretty much all game long. St. Joe's with maybe one opportunity early in the first half, but they've been stymied since then. Visa open on the near side flank. Okori chucks to the ball, lays it off for Mangarov, and Visa contacted and fouled as he was hammered by Kobe Perlaza. So far in the first 3.5 minutes of the second half, we have seen St. Joe's in the same formation, in what you could call a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2, depending on how you want to look at it with the outside backs. UVA already scored off of one free kick today, with Nick Dang getting on the end of it. Visa and Mangarov hovering near the ball. Okori situated towards the near post, every other Cavalier on the far side post. Visa drives it in. Okori tried to get a touch on it, couldn't do so. And now it's on the foot of Tommaso Rosetto. Perlaza lifts it towards midfield. Koistra holds it up against Visa. Koistra, great size at 6'4". Here comes the Dutch striker. Out wide it goes to Rosetto. The Italian taking on the German Visa. Rosetto runs out of room, but Visa touches it last. And a corner kick for St. Joe's, the Hawks first on the afternoon. St. Joe's does have a lot of players that have some height on them. Jokel Sveinsson, 6'4" guy. Steinecke, who started the last match at 6'1". We noted the 6'4" height for Koistra. Jan Galinski, he's at 6'2". Galinski was the one that got injured in the first half. Right into Petruni, and he underhand scoops it into his chest, and the collision makes a couple of Cavaliers a bit frazzled. They did not like that Petruni was hit. And a yellow card is shown to one of those Hawks who tried to stick his nose in there. J.C. Rivero, our referee, is signaling for Kim Johnston, the athletic trainer, to tend to Petruni. Bit of a confusing one for Joey, and he may have been brushed along his head. You can see a little bit of indecision there from Petruni, unsure if he should maybe move forward a step or two and grab it overhand or take it into his chest. Great to see Petruni on his feet. Referees, of course, always protecting the keepers. And you can see him talking with Kim Johnston that the Hawk player stuck out a bit of an elbow in his estimation. And our referee agreed, since he did hand out the yellow card. It was given to Glenn Lala, the Italian who is making his collegiate debut today. 6 years in the 4th division in Italy, and now at Klockner Stadium, one of the greatest collegiate soccer stadiums in the nation. It is fascinating. You look out yonder onto the hill, and There is not one person in sight. There are a lot of fans here today for an afternoon game. They are on the bleachers on the near side, which is right now covered in shade. So it does make sense. Brizuela couldn't catch up to it. Mangarov, though, does. Brizuela wants it in the middle. Tries to spin off his defender. Now it's Pella from outside the 18, and he clocks it wide.
Okay, pause.
Here's what we're talking about earlier with Umberto Pella, a guy who is becoming more decisive as an attacking player this season. Looking for goal, not trying to work backwards or side to side. Thinking about the end product. He's never scored in his collegiate career, the junior from Milan. Played in just 4 games as a freshman in 2022. Started 18 matches out of the 19 last year and had an assist against Pitt. Virginia, by the way, in this reconfigured ACC this season with the additions of SMU, Stanford, and Cal. Something to keep in mind as we move forward in the season. Unlike most conferences throughout the country, everybody in the ACC is welcomed in the conference tournament. All 15 programs will make the ACC tournament. And each team is playing 8 conference games in 2024, just like in the A10. Virginia picked 6th in the ACC preseason poll. St. Joe's at number 11 in the A10. A 14-team conference in the Atlantic 10. Ignacio Alem near the byline, swinging his shoulders and trying to deceive the defender. Inside it goes, seeking Brizuela. Outside the 18 now for Visa. Dang. Rome wants it, he gets it. Checking back to the ball is Mangarov. Daniel Mangarov with Brizuela moving towards him. Instead it goes for Albangashi. Lifted across, the header from Akori, but he did come from an offside position, says the AR on the near side. And it's back to St. Joe's with 8 minutes gone by in our second half. Reese Miller scoring in the 11th minute. Nick Dang in the 24th on a header off a free kick. Cavaliers now with 12 shots and the Hawks with only 3. St. Joe's outshot Merrimack in its opening game 11-5, but the caliber of competition certainly heightening here. St. Joe's, by the way, will see one of the Cavaliers' previous opponents on Monday, Labor Day, as they take on the Rider Bronx on the road in New Jersey. 1 o'clock start. The Bronx, the reigning MAC champions, their first since 2018. Lost to Virginia 3-0 in the opener, and then lost to Lehigh on Monday. As Visa advances, lost his footing, and here is Glenn Lala. They're confident with his abilities on the ball, despite the fact he's a center back. Tando couldn't get it. Alem speeds towards the byline. Ignacio Alem tackled off the ball. Jokel Sveinson with a nice job defensively. And Sveinson wants it on the flank, and he receives. The Icelandic freshman. And St. Joe's now switches the point of the attack. Blake Driehaus, we haven't called his name all that often today. The leading goal scorer last year for St. Joe's with 8. Hawks only scoring 19 goals last season, and they return just 11 of those 19 goals. And less than 50% of their starts in terms of players from 2023. Fletcher Kaponecchia, a guy who was consistently in the starting lineup for the last 2 seasons after transferring from West Virginia Tech. James Fletcher, a starter for about 4.5 years. Inside the box it goes. Brizuela brings it down, holds onto it. Outside the 18 it goes now for Albangashi. Mangarov. Visa picks his head up, delivers it inside for Gashi, but not enough power on it. UVA regains as Austin Rome shields the sun. Alem out wide, 1v1 against Tando, as Alem slows it down. Cavaliers not near their shot total of 28 like they had in their last match against Colgate, but still as dominant in possession. UVA scoreless in the last match. The last time that they had 20 shots in the match and did not score a goal, you'd have to also go back to the 2013 season, a 0-0 tie at Duke. Combination play, Pella inside the 18, a flick there from McConnery, disrupted it for UVA. And now his fellow number 5, Austin Rome, with a strong tackle.
Goal kick, St. Joseph.
This is going to make the Cavaliers coaching staff happy. If Umberto Pella just slides it by McConnery, he probably has UVA's third, but it's that work to get into the final third, to get into the 18-yard box. It's that patience that is so necessary when you're playing this brand of soccer, right? With an opponent dropping back and defending with a line of 3 center backs and 2 outside backs. You need to find a way to penetrate. Foul on Nick Dang, and a little bit of a push from Bart Koistra, and that forces the referee J.C. Rivero to blow his whistle and make sure that there's no extracurricular activity. You'd imagine that Coach Diambra, he's got a good pulse on his team, and that the program understands that UVA is one of the powerhouses of collegiate soccer, and that they enter this matchup as the David and UVA is the Goliath. But you also have to say that a lot of these Hawks players are international, and so they maybe didn't grow up watching collegiate soccer, so they may not know to the fullest extent that, hey, we're the underdog to the extreme. And so maybe some of them come out a bit fearless, and you can see that physicality picking up here in the second half. Corey tries to zigzag his way forward. Now he's brought down, and this is a yellow card. No doubt about it. And it's given out to Cassidy Tando. And no argument from Tando, the sophomore from Australia. Terrific work from David Okori, and there's the two-handed shove. Sveinson may have also gotten a piece of Okori as well. Visa examines Okori, back to Visa. Okori still on the outside. He's got it here near the byline. He crosses in, and right there is the 6'6" giant Javi. And Lars Javi wants to punt it away. He was fouled from behind. And this will result in a yellow card, you'd imagine. You're not sure if the referee may have had his back turned to the play. That's where the fourth official could come in and help as well. And it is Umberto Pella who receives the yellow card. Umberto knew what he was doing here, no doubt about that, as he tried to disrupt this counterattack led by Lars Javi. Now you have 8 eyes responsible for monitoring everything that's going on out there, and one of those 4 gentlemen made sure that that did not go without a punishment. Second yellow card handed out to a Cavalier. Hayes Wood got a yellow early in the match. Javi hurls it to midfield. Header from Rome, who falls down. Free kick UVA. Austin Rome in his second season here on grounds after transferring from Providence. Spent a couple of years with the Friars. Didn't play his first season, started just 5 games with Providence in 2022. Last year made 8 starts with UVA. Averaged about 69 minutes per match. An even bigger part of this year's team as the focal point defensively. Oftentimes Nick Dang is seeking a move forward. Same deal for the guy to his left in Austin Rome. I shouldn't say to his left. Austin Rome is all over the field. It would be very interesting to track his movement and see all the different zigzags that he would pose on the field. There is no such thing as linear movement for Brendan Lamb. And I said that in a positive way. Visa's cross in. It missed Brizuela. And the outside of the foot knock away from Driehaus. Forward it goes. Joey Petruni outside the 18. And he apologizes to Ignacio Alem because Ignacio, if the pass was directed in the right spot, would have been open. About a third of the way through here in the second half. St. Joe's still without a shot in the second half and still with no shots on target in the entire match. Perlaza, heavy touch. Okori puts his hands in the air. He's pleading to the refs, hey, you know, there was just shoulder-to-shoulder contact, but he was whistled for it. And St. Joe's pushes forward. Brand Vong, out wide it goes. Link-up play with Rosetto. And Alem tracking back. Tries to usher it out of bounds, and he is successful doing so.
Okay, Virginia.
Ignacio Alem playing as the left wing back in the spot of Reese Miller. Alem has already played a career high in minutes. He's up to about 37 minutes so far today. His previous career high 23 in the first couple of matches this season. You certainly want to use a few more bodies off the bench on a day like today in the mid-90s. Visa having trouble getting by a couple of Hawks. And then Perlaza throws it away in disgruntled fashion. There's Blake Driehaus. They need to get him going if they have a chance in this match. 14 career goals. They expect huge things from him this season if they're going to take a step in the A10. That ball clatters off a couple of bodies. Mangarov twisting free. Umberto Pella. Rosetto applying some heat. As if we needed any more today of that. Pella worms his way a little bit free, and then Alem is tripped up. Cassidy Tando certainly has to be careful here, already on a yellow card. Visa moving inside. Mangarov now on the flank as Brendan Lamb finds him. Okori checks in. Dang back to Petruni. Joey had a 13 save performance in the ACC quarterfinals last year against Syracuse, which ended in a 1-1 draw. Syracuse advancing in penalty kicks 4-3. One save shy of the program record of Mark Aronson's 14 back in 1980. And the coaching staff very confident in his abilities when he is tested early and often in matches. But he's got to show that he can handle not being involved for a majority of the match and then come up with a clutch save. Has a really humble personality, according to the coaching staff. And guys really love to play in front of him. Gashi to his best mate, Umberto Pella. Okori to Mangarov, and he somersaults to the ground. Free kick UVA. Mangarov, synonymous for a helicopter there. Okori's pass a bit too short, but that's what forced the hand of St. Joe's, and now the free kick for UVA. He knew what he was doing, right? Gashi lifts it towards the center dot. Dang couldn't get on the end of it like he did on goal number 2. And now St. Joe's will restart. Brizuela getting in front of the ball, just like Alvin Gashi did, to make sure that St. Joe's couldn't start the counter. McConnery, Perlaza, Koistra. Corey flops to the ground, and Visa collects. Pella, Daniel Mangarov, playing on his offside so he can cut in with his left foot. Daniel with 3 shots in this game after taking 9 shots in the first 2 matches combined here at Klockner Stadium. UVA has enjoyed a 3-game homestand to begin the season, and then the Cavaliers head off to College Park on Labor Day to take on the Terps. It was funny, I was speaking to the UVA coaching staff before the game, mentioning that the football opener is on Saturday against Richmond. Said, you guys going to bring them out to the game? And, you know, they said, we got to get ready for Maryland. We got to make sure that the guys are prepared for that one. Six o'clock start coming up this weekend from Charlottesville. Slanted ball forward for Corey, and Lars Javi has an easy time with it. Javi with 2 saves so far in today's match. He has given up the 2 goals to Reese Miller, and the second one to Nick Dang in the 24th minute. Javi starting his 26th collegiate game, the 6'6" keeper from Norway. A lot of space here for St. Joe's. Mazzotta inside the 18. Nick Dang clears it away, and he was tugged a bit. Rosetto involved in the play as well. St. Joe's needs a goal to make things a bit more chaotic down the stretch of this one. Lala. To the outside it goes. Some space here for Perlaza. Visa defends. Kobe Perlaza, he fails. He just couldn't get his foot around the ball and deliver a solid cross. You can't fault him there. He's trying to make the right play, but unfortunately just couldn't do it in a technical fashion. Brendan Lamb. Forward it goes. He's seeking Brizuela. Corey also near the ball. Mazzotta to the back line for Sveinson. Mazzotta, long ball forward, goes off the head of Rosetto as the 2 Italians try to link up. Visa rolls the ball over, falls down, and a foul. Rosetto as he scratches the back of his noggin. Tommaso Rosetto, he's listed as a grad student, but he's only in his first season of collegiate soccer after playing in the Italian 6th division. Rosetto, yeah, you see him giving Paul Visa a bit of a friendly hug around the shoulder. was certainly anxious to see how they did in that regard. He wants the team, though, to possess the ball a little bit more, create some attacking chances. We really haven't seen all that much of that today. Had a chance inside the 6-yard box about 10 minutes into the match. Aside from that, hasn't been anything too threatening for Joey Petruni and the back line for UVA to deal with. Really enjoyed my conversation with Coach Diambra a couple of days ago, and we discussed all these international students and how he pools them together and sort of the education that's necessary when living in Philadelphia. And he said, look, we definitely show everybody, you know, the Rocky movies, right? We bring them out for Philly cheesesteaks. No, kidding about the Philly cheesesteaks. You can't have those cheesesteaks with all that cheese and all that meat during the season. Maybe an activity you can do in December, but you know, you try to figure out that culture and you try to instill that in your group, and that's what he's aiming to do quickly this season, and that's certainly the era in the transfer portal and getting all of these guys from overseas, and that's an adjustment they've made over the last 4 or 5 years after COVID. Reese Miller's cross in, and it was a good one, and then Visa on the back post. He pops that one into Scott Stadium.
Goal kick, St. Joe's.
Goal kick, St. Joe's. And now a Hawk is down behind the byline. It is another instance of the two outside backs joining forces and getting chances with Miller and Visa. Miller has split the time on the left flank with Ignacio Alem. That ball just missing the keeper Javi, and then Visa was looking for the wonder strike. That one might need to be retrieved at Palmer Park right now. Everyone's okay here for St. Joe's, and Javi will get us back in play with the goal kick. Javi drives it towards midfield, headed on by Koistra, and Nick Dang gives it to his fellow center back in Austin Rome. George Gelnevach and company trying to respond off a loss against Colgate back on Sunday. Didn't feel like there was much to be worried about per se, just a disappointing feeling. If you weren't with us in the first half, we told you that the expected goals total for UVA was about 4.5 in that match. They took 28 shots. They just couldn't find the back of the net. Truls Brandvang called for a foul here. Brandvang, one of the 4 Norwegians on the roster, as Albin Gashi, the Swede, is helped to his feet. Brandvang just going through the back of Albin, who's in his 3rd season as a starter for the Cavaliers. Certainly a guy that has the potential to turn pro at the end of this year. Pella flicks it. Abogu in the match. Gets a deflection on that clearing try. Visa. Dang. And too far out in front of Gashi. A mistake from Dang as he puts his palm up and apologizes to his new teammate. Austin Rome, hey, there he is in his left center back role. I'm sure it's got to be a lot of fun for a guy like him to have so much freedom. And look, obviously there's a system and there are certain places he needs to be in certain spots. But just the ability to see different spots on the field and different sight lines. It's got to be exciting for a guy who can showcase that type of creativity that the Cavaliers are seeking from him. Brendan has played in TST for Sayward FC over the last couple of summers. 7 goals in 7 games. Had a hat trick against the Aguero team this summer. Really enjoyed watching the TST, by the way, the soccer tournament. If you're unfamiliar, it's the soccer version of TBT, the basketball tournament. 7v7. And then in, if you will, Elam ending time, if you're to compare it to the basketball format, each team removes a player off the field every 5 minutes or so. Pretty cool. Visa knocks it forward, Abogu. Hayes Wood runs off of him. Wood inside the area, lets it go with the right foot and pockets it home. Hayes Wood with his first as a Cavalier. Got the starting nod today for Coach Gelnovac, and he pays it off.
Who scored that goal? Number 7, Hayes Wood.
Abogu, solid job to deceive the defender. Wood with the hustle, and he sneaks it inside that near post. Perlaza a bit too late defending, and you also see the physicality and the strength of Hayes Wood. Big guy at 6'2", the broad shoulders, ensuring that the defender couldn't get a touch on it. And Lars Javi now having some issues inside the 6 for St. Joe's. He's trying to show the referee that he's got some issue with the left leg, the inside part of his left leg. He's trying to hobble it off here and finish off the match. The 3 backups for St. Joe's all have never played in a collegiate game. Here it is again, Wood using the body against Perlaza. And yeah, he does get a cleat in on the goalie Javi, but he has already released the ball at that point, so the referee lets it go. And a 3-0 lead for UVA, comfortably in front of St. Joe's with under 19 minutes to go. You know, we said earlier that the end product was the only difference in these 3 games for UVA, taking on Ryder, Colgate, and St. Joe's. I don't know, it might be weird of me to say, but you know, I also found it fascinating that we talk about how similar the complexion of these games have looked in the first 3. Maybe that's also because all 3 of the Cavaliers' opponents wear this, you know, crimson or maroon style of red. Just throwing it out there. Lamb does nicely to bring it down. He's got glue on those feet. So the Cavaliers polishing off what they hope is at least a 3-0 victory before battling the Maryland Terrapins in College Park on Monday. That's a 7 o'clock start. Maryland so far this season a 1-1 tie against UMBC last Thursday, and then lost to Georgetown, then the number 16 team in the country on Sunday. They are hosting Detroit Mercy tomorrow. UVA's first true road game against Maryland since 2015. Cavaliers beating the Terps last season here at Klockner Stadium 2-1 in a physical battle that showcased the old times in this rivalry, with a lot of physicality and a lot of anger on both sides. Sasho Sarovsky got a yellow card in that match. Combined 11 national championships between those 2 squads, as they're back in College Park for the first time in 9 years after playing at Audi Field for 5 years. Inside the box it goes. Oh, what a move from Reese Miller! He showed Javi and an easy deposit. Reese Miller, he's got a brace, and he doubles his goal total on his career today alone.
Who scored that goal?
That was neat.
19, Reese Miller.
He had that ball on a string, beating the back line, and then whoop, easy conversion. And Reese Miller now has 4 career goals, 2 of them on a Thursday afternoon from a hot, bright, and sunny Klockner Stadium. That'll do it today for Umberto Pella and Paul Visa and Brendan Lamb as they exit the field. The applause coming from the Cavaliers faithful here at Klockner. And St. Joe's also bringing on some new players as well. Patrick Vanny is in the match. Daniel Zivkovic. Some of the new flock for St. Joe's. Cavaliers now out shooting the Hawks 15-3, 6-0 in shots on target. And this is exactly the formula of what a get-right game looks like. Alex Parvu is in the match for UVA, 37 in white on the near side. He's playing as a right wing back. Parvu, the freshman who played 13 minutes off the bench against Ryder, but then got a red card late in that season opening match in his debut. He unfortunately, not intentionally, had spikes up to the face of one of the Bronx players as that Ryder player was lunging towards the ground. So Parvu sat in game 2. Probably wouldn't have played anyway, given that it was a close match with Colgate. Here he is on the near side flank. Cameron Uriando is also in. Played just 3 minutes in his Cavaliers debut against Ryder last Thursday. Uriando in his first season with UVA, coming over from D2 Seattle Pacific, where he spent 2 years with the Falcons. Abogu now to Miller, and his cross takes a deflection. Corner kick UVA, the Cavaliers' 4th. 2 more changes for Coach Gelnovac. Luke Makula, who, like a couple of other Cavaliers, played just a handful of minutes in the opener, is in. The transfer from Coastal Carolina. Teammates with Joey Petruni over with the Chanticleers a couple of years ago. Austin Rome takes a seat. Nick Dang takes a seat. Parker Sloan also in the back for UVA, a senior who has been a complimentary player throughout his Cavaliers tenure. Mangarov with the cross and the header off of Makula. To the backside it goes. Alvin Gashi tracks it down. Sloan, the junior, former Virginia Gatorade Player of the Year. Lobs it to the far side now. It's Reese Miller. Mangarov. Waiting for an option to open up. He's got Victor Akum on this near side, 17 in white, also in. Parvu outside the D. He wants a shot and keeps it on the floor. It's Hobby with the save. Coach Gelnovac, a coach that in tight games doesn't love to use a lot of subs, but with a 4-0 advantage here, certainly has the ability to reach deep into his bench and give some younger players or fresher players an opportunity. Parvu from Akum. Victor Akum, the sophomore from Edmonton. Didn't play the entirety of last season. Comes from the Vancouver Whitecaps Academy. Sloan, inside it goes. Uriando to Mangarov. Sloan running on the outside. UVA calms it down. Gashi. Parvu. Akum and Makula, the 2 center backs. UVA playing now more of a traditional 4-back formation, with Parvu on the right, Sloan on the left, and then the 2 center backs of Akum and Makula. Petruni. Victor Akum. Near him is Zivkovic. Switches it to the far side now. It's Makula, the senior from State College, Pennsylvania. 33 starts in his Chanticleer's career. Tongue twister. Reese Miller. And he may have grabbed a part of the jersey. I think St. Joe's is not happy with that. Play continues. Gashi. Parvu. Alex Parvu dancing towards the 18-yard box. Parvu goes outside, hits it. And St. Joe's can push forward its back line. Some hold-up play here from Zivkovic. It works. Vanny. To the far side it goes for the man on a yellow card. That's Tando. UVA regains with Mangarov. Abogu shields off ref's guard. Parvu. You wonder how much Albangashi remains in this game if Coach Gelnovac tries to get him out with Mangarov as well. Maybe Reese Miller exits after his 2-goal effort. Loads of room for Albangashi. Spins like a top. UVA moves it forward. Uriando, Mangarov. Miller asking for it out wide. Playing more as a left wing instead of a left back right now, with Parker Sloan in more of a defensive role. Sloan from Centerville, Virginia, about 50 miles away from Charlottesville. Didn't play his first season, 12 games off the bench last year. Parvu combines inside with Uriando, chips it forward for Hayeswood, steers it around his defender, but he runs out of room. This will be a goal kick as Reese Miller bangs it off the post. And if that ball were still in play, he would have been inches away from a hat trick today. He's got to be thinking to himself, come on, Hayes, keep it in. Now, certainly a memorable afternoon for Reese Miller. Coach Gelnovac said he needs a few goals from Reese Miller this season moving forward in the attack. And he has a couple today. And now the 29th year head coach for UVA brings on 4 new players, including Tom Miles, who takes out Joey Batruni in net. Miles, the graduate student from London, has played in a couple of different spots in the United States, at West Texas A&M in 2021, and then at Lubbock Christian University, a D2 school, for 2 seasons, 49 career starts. So he is now in between the pipes. And Miller, Batruni, Gashi, and Mangarov, all the guys we figured might come out of the match, get a round of applause from the fans here at Klockner Stadium. Anthony Fappel, 36 in white, is in the match as a left winger now. Max Talley, 3 in white, also in. Talley, the sophomore from Memphis, played in 3.5 minutes in the blowout win over Ryder in game 1. Some more minutes here for Hayeswood. They'll keep in the veteran from Lipscomb as he tries to work his way back into 100% form. Coming off the season-ending injury in the opener last year. Wood playing in just 20 and 25 minutes in the first 2 games. And Wood so far today has played 36. So an improvement in that category. Talley to Sloan. He's got Fappel on the flank. Uriando. Back it goes Makula. Parvu. Uriando with space. Uriando, he's got long strides. He misses his target. That was Wood. And now it's Hobby. Under 10 minutes to play. One of 2 games today involving programs in the A10 and the ACC. SMU later today taking on St. Louis. Handful of other games involving ACC programs today, with North Carolina taking on FIU. Get to those in a moment. Wood, that goes off the foot of Svensson. Corner kick UVA.
Cavalier corner kick.
The Tar Heels, they are now at number 17 in the nation. They dropped from number 6 after they tied Cal Baptist in their second game. Perhaps a bit harsh. The Lancers have made back-to-back NCAA tournaments, but UNC dropping in the polls. Notre Dame taking on Indiana in an in-state rivalry in Bloomington. Syracuse hosting Charlotte. Cal visiting LMU, and then Stanford is hosting Cal State Fullerton. To the penalty dot, over the head of Wood and Makula on the back post, and that shot too high on the half volley from Fappel, freshman from St. Louis. Goal kick, St. Joe's. Meanwhile, in the A10, earlier today, Creighton was playing host to Loyola Chicago. Dayton is taking on UNLV. St. Bonaventure, the Bonnies, against Canisius in Buffalo. That's a 6 o'clock kick. And then later tonight, the aforementioned game between St. Louis and SMU. The Mustangs were number 10 to start the season. They dropped out. They beat Air Force 1-0 in their opener, and then a 1-1 tie against Oral Roberts. 5 ranked teams in the ACC dipped out of the top 25 from the preseason poll. There were 10 total out of the ACC inside the preseason top 25. And now there's only 6. Clemson at number 1, number 3 Pitt, number 7 Syracuse, number 13 Stanford, Louisville at number 15, and Carolina at 17. Wood tight-roping the near sideline, keeps it in play as the Cavaliers cycle it around. We mentioned St. Joe's will visit Rider on Monday. They're on the road next Friday against Loyola, Maryland. Loyola, the preseason favorites out of the Patriot League. And St. Joe's next home game is Monday, September 9th against Army, which will be a rematch of a very dramatic game from last year that ended 3-2 in favor of St. Joe's. Blake Driehaus scored a few goals in that one. Across it goes from a Bogu to the back post, and Fapel was a bit late. Still a corner kick for UVA. Or, excuse me, this is a throw-in deep in St. Joe's territory. Parvu. With Luke Burns in the match as well. 31 in white. Burns, the freshman from Scottsdale, Arizona. Played in 10 minutes off the bench in his first ever collegiate game against Rider. Talley moving forward into the attack. Talley shoots off the post and in! Max Talley with the beauts. His first career goal, the sophomore in his 5th ever game in college. And all the Cavaliers are jumping up and down at Klockner. Max Talley smashing it off the post, and it had enough juice to get into the net. Talley has played just 33 minutes in his collegiate career prior to today, and he has one that he will stock for the rest of his life in his brain. So the Cavaliers now equal the goal total of their women's program back on Sunday when the UVA women dispatched Utah Valley 5-0. Good Wolverines program that has been a consistent fixture at the top of the WAC. I don't think you can ask more of UVA today. And it's really tough to say that, you know, the Cavaliers made all of these adjustments and changed things up, and there was this passionate speech and they needed to really, you know, change their entire system. No, that's not the case. They still dominated possession against Colgate. Just one of those games where you just couldn't put it in the back of the net. Coach Gelnovich looks to make another change here as Michael Howard is ready to come in for his collegiate debut, the freshman from Apex, North Carolina, same hometown as Brendan Lamb in the Raleigh area. By the way, we should mention, you know, Coach Gelnovich, he's done an incredible job with his program, of course, approaching 3 decades as the head coach. He took over the program from Bruce Arena. Of course, if you're a younger fan, you might remember him as the U.S. national coach, longtime UVA head coach. He was here today. This goes into the box, off ahead and just wide. Goal kick now for St. Joe's. Apparently Coach Arena was here for the first game that the Cavaliers played against the Rider Bronx. Hayes Wood takes a seat. He's got a big smile on his face. And here is Michael Howard, his first minutes in college. With 4.5 minutes to play from Klockner Stadium. After UVA's game against Maryland, the Cavaliers will have their first ACC game 2 Fridays from now on September 6th against the Duke Blue Devils. They'll follow it up with a match at Wake Forest on the 13th, and then they're at Cal. A lot of separation between these games for UVA. as the Cavaliers are close to beginning their 8-game conference slate here in 2024. Apologies. After the Duke game, that's my mistake. After Duke, they have a match against James Madison. Or no, that's last year's schedule. I'm sorry. I do have it correct. It is Wake Forest and then Cal after Duke. The sun not shining as much here at Klockner Stadium. The lights are on. Again, we are expecting storms in the area coming up this evening. So smart on the decision makers here at UVA to push up the game. Harvu can't link up with Talley, the goal scorer. Steinecke with a spin. Akum brings him down. Free kick, St. Joe's. Hawks would certainly love a goal, so they can look back on this trip to Charlottesville with memories of, not being shut out and scoring a goal against an ACC opponent. By the way, we say that the sun is down, but it continues to be muggy. Truls Brandvang is waiting to take it outside the 18 as the Cavaliers form a 5-man wall. Brandvang loops it to the back post, and the header is there from UVA. Parker Sloan defending. St. Joe's offside anyway. So the Cavaliers had a 2-0 lead at halftime. UVA getting goals in the first half in the 11th minute from Reese Miller. The 24th minute from Nick Dang off a set piece from Daniel Mangarov. Then the Cavaliers striking 3 more times here in the second half. Hayes Wood, his first as a Cavalier in minute 71. Reese Miller recorded a brace in the 73rd. And then Max Talley, his first career goal in college in the 84th minute. UVA now plus 16 in the shots category. Joey Petruni nor Tom Miles have faced a shot in this second half. St. Joe's still stuck on 3, and the Hawks have never had a shot on target in this one. Luke Makula glances forward. Harvu knocks it inside. This goes by Michael Howard. He gets it back, but does so illegally in a free kick. Luke Burns looks a bit confused, and the referee, J.C. Rivero, puts his arm around him and explains the situation to the youngster.
1 minute. 1 minute.
Under a minute to go here from Klockner. The Cavaliers are 60 seconds away from improving to 2-1. We noted that they started 1-1 in each of the past 2 seasons and emerged in Game 3 with a victory, and that'll be the case today as well. Miles drives it towards midfield. It's knocked down by Refsgaard. Harvu with Burns making the overlapping run, and here is Luke. Burns wiggling inside. He's got a Bogu and a one-touch pass now for Parvu, and the intervention there from St. Joe's. That was Refsgaard. Hobby making sure that it did not go out for a corner kick. Instead, it's a deep throw. UVA in no particular hurry here with 10 seconds to go, and St. Joe's not pressing the issue and asking for the Cavaliers to move quickly.
4, 3, 2,
UVA responds.
1.
The Cavaliers, after a disappointing 1-0 loss against Colgate back on Sunday, get the victory today, and now some extra stuff as Luke Burns is in the middle of it with Daniel Zivkovic, and those 2 players are separated. That's not necessary down the stretch of this one. It's a 5-0 drubbing for the Cavaliers over the Hawks. UVA gets to 2-1 on the season. St. Joe's drops to 0-2, and now the Cavaliers look forward to what is one of their most important games on the schedule every single season. They'll be in College Park on Labor Day to take on the Maryland Terrapins, their former rival in the ACC. Reese Miller scored twice for UVA. Cavaliers also got goals from Nick Dang and Hayes Wood and Max Talley. And UVA is 2-1 here in 2024. That'll do it for us here at Clockner Stadium. For the hardworking men and women on our crew, this is Corey Spector saying so long on a Thursday afternoon in which UVA wins 5-0 over St. Joe's. Thanks for being with us on ACC Network Extra.